Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we are finally going to be talking about the new double album from Big K.R.I.T called Forever is a Mighty Long Time. You know, I've always been of the opinion that Big K.R.I.T should be so much bigger than he is, especially in the mainstream. And really, from the more people that I've talked to that's listened to his music, that's not an uncommon opinion. Big K.R.I.T seemed like the guy destined to propel his career to the stars, driven off of mixtapes that could often be perceived as dynamic and potent albums in their own right. They were that polished, they were that good. Huge hooks, sharp writing that drew upon southern hip-hop traditions without ever feeling like a gimmick or a throwback or old-fashioned, and yet plenty conscious too. And he produced the majority of it himself with enough flash and polish to court the radio. Big K.R.I.T, he showed incredible versatility, a ton of promise, and when he got signed by Def Jam, everybody thought, including me, that it would be his ticket to the very top, and that didn't happen. In fact, if I were to look at an utterly tragic misstep in hip-hop management and promotion, it would be that Big K.R.I.T never took off in the mid-2010s the way he should have. And yes, you could make the argument that those major label projects were not really as good as the mixtapes, and that they were decent to really good, but never quite great. But you know what? I've covered entirely too much mediocre music that's impacted the Hot 100. Whoever was promoting or managing Big K.R.I.T screwed this up big time. And thus, it was sadly no surprise when Big K.R.I.T and Def Jam parted ways in 2016, keeping the mixtape steady as he prepared a double album of material for independent release. Now, to some extent, I was a little bit concerned about this. To me, double albums are always a very risky proposition, especially if it becomes abundantly clear it could have been cut down if there was a lot of filler. And the truth is that between the albums and the mixtapes, Big K.R.I.T has put out a lot of solid material that nevertheless has done plenty to fill and nearly saturate his lane. And there was a part of me that felt for this to really stand out and resonate on his own, it had to be a home run, a swing for the fences, really elevate his sound to its best. So okay, did we manage to get that? Well, here's the funny thing. I was gearing up for this review to be pretty lengthy, as you would expect for anybody covering a comeback double album where Big K.R.I.T was aiming bigger and higher than ever, and yet with every single listen to Forever is a Mighty Long Time, I'm left feeling that this album doesn't so much surprise the audience in a wild new direction, but reflects a refinement of style, further polishing an already good sound. It also gives me the impression that if Def Jam didn't think this was marketable and was leaning on him to water things down, they screwed this up royally. Not only is this record among Big K.R.I.T's best ever projects, it also shows itself as plenty accessible in its own right, even to the mainstream, with terrific melodic hooks, a breadth of lavish production that spans multiple genres, and content that would likely play just fine to Big K.R.I.T's audience and could probably win him even more people. And like always, the key words when it comes to Big K.R.I.T are tied to versatility. This is a rapper who can play in moody, introspective territory while bringing in some massive bangers indebted to southern hip-hop, and it never feels inconsistent with who he is as an MC. He's a fully fleshed out, humanized character, most because he's only growing more expressive and layered as a performer too. As a rapper, I have always liked this guy. An aggressive rasp that backs up bars that are flush with the detail to never feel interchangeable, hi Migos, along with charismatic and diverse flows that show he's plenty capable of writing damn near anything and doing it better than most of his peers. But what really impressed me was the expansion of his emotive delivery, often in his singing. Now, I don't think he's an exceptional singer, although a song like Keep the Devil Off, he's pretty damn credible and convincing. But you know what? He's naturally more expressive here. And even songs that require him to play in tougher emotional territory like Drinking Sessions are delivered exceptionally well. Hell, as much as it feels very reminiscent of Kendrick Lamar's You, I actually think I might like this song better. Hell, I'd take Big K.R.I.T singing over that lisping mess that Lloyd delivers on 1999, which is easily the worst track on the entire double album. Now, granted, it helps that the tones and the guest singers Big K.R.I.T draws upon, aside from Lloyd, they're more than capable of actually supporting him, from CeeLo Green dropping an uncharacteristic but pretty decent rap verse on the flat-out excellent song Get Up to Come Down, obviously some great melodic touches with the trumpet, all the way to Bilal, Jill Scott, and especially Joy just belting out their tracks on the second disc against some of the most lush soul instrumentals that I have heard all year on a hip-hop record, most of which, again, Big K.R.I.T produced himself. And this ties into the second reason I'd argue Def Jam was utterly crazy not to give this guy full creative freedom or more of a budget. Because not only does this record sound expensive and clean in the best way possible that belies his more braggadocious songs, actually makes them feel convincing, but it's nearly always anchored in real diverse melodies to back up his hook, be it coming from liquid guitars, horns, or a lush watery sample that you could tell easily can be traced to the greats of southern hip-hop like Outkast or UGK. I might not be wild about the hook on Ride With Me, even then it was sampled, but if there's a guy who can sample Late Pimp C or can call up Bun B to sound completely convincing, it's Big K.R.I.T. He gets T.I. on Big Bank, and it's a natural pairing for a banger. They play off each other really quite well, but I think I might be more impressed by the slick cascades behind the gorgeous track Chord, or the oily, organ-infused funk of Keep the Devil Off, or the choppy tone behind Mixed Messages against a trap drum line that's far more complex than your average interchangeable radio banger. Now granted, the second disc of this project is aiming for more ambitious material, especially in a lot of the production, drawing on gospel and showing a greater breadth of instrumentation to support it, like the guitars and the pianos on Miss Georgia Fornia, to the melancholic blend of piano and horns on Drinking Sessions, to the stunningly rich take on jazz rap that fills up this light. But you know what, I'm not gonna lie, for his fourth track in the sub-series, Subenstein might be one of my favorites just because of the melodic interplay in the tuba with the distant keys, the guitars, the scratching, the electricity crackling, and a trunk-knocking beat that even manages to sustain a remarkable beat switch. And it's that diversity across this album that helps so much of these songs actually stand out for me. For a 22-song double album, even if I will say the record can drag a little bit at the end of each disc when it slows down a little, it goes down remarkably easy. This is a really easy record to go back to, either disc really. Now granted, this does take us to the content, and the one criticism of Big K.R.I.T that I've always been a little mixed on. His content, especially at this point in his career when he's put out so much material, can feel, well, tad predictable. His flexing is smarter and more layered than so many of his peers, but it is still flexing. So there have been those who've argued that he could afford to go deeper or surprise the audience, and that he chooses not to. And I'm not quite sure I can agree with all that, at least not entirely. Yeah, especially on the first disc, the content might play in an accessible lane that you would expect here, but the presentation more than makes up for the conventionality, and even then, I'd argue there's less conventionality than you might think. For one, Big K.R.I.T on average tends to be a lot wittier and can take southern tropes in fun directions. Hell, that classic Interlude might be one of the best skits I've heard on a rap album in years. Absolutely loved it. But even beyond that, and his obvious love for the South and its music illustrated with fantastic detail on Chord, I just appreciate the musical references even if it is more of a checklist sort of song. Where the content picks up that considerable depth is on the second disc, where you might be able to call some of the details of Big K.R.I.T sensitivity. You can see what's coming, but there's more to it. Hell, it's early on when we get Mixed Messages, a track where he even directly addresses his own versatility as a performer and the demands coming in from all sides for what music he should be making. And he's very much aware of the contradictions some of his genre choice it presents. Or, as much as he loves his home state of Mississippi on Miss Georgia Fornia, he knows that he'll likely have to leave it behind in order to pursue his passion. And it plays out like a southern gothic romance in the best way possible. The drama really is anchored there. It helps that for the most part, Big K.R.I.T is not putting on airs of violence beyond what's absolutely necessary for him in his industry. He's the protagonist of his story, a good guy, and he's pretty self-reflective when he messes up, which plays out in heartbreaking detail on Drinking Sessions, one of the best songs here, where his grief at his grandmother's death mingles with the socially charged anger, resolving with his own awkward self-consciousness, knowing that he's exposing some part of himself getting that drunk. And the fact that this can still feel credible, coming after an entire disc full of bangers, and a fair few songs that play for easy, cool relaxation, that's humanizing in a powerful way, shows off a lot of dimension to this MC, especially if you can tell there's a part of him that's heartbroken by the ascendancy in fame and success and the loneliness that it brought him. Now look, is any of this profoundly deep or something that you haven't heard before in hip-hop? Not really. And if I were to criticize some of the content here, I do wish he had taken that step and tied more of it into a thematically sound whole. If you're going for a double album, you got the time in order to bring it all together a little more. But really, that's nitpicking for an otherwise pretty great collection of songs, with consistently high-quality production and bars that for the most part absolutely succeed in exactly what they set out to do. Easily the best of his official albums and rivaling some of his best mixtapes, Big K.R.I.T K.R.I.T made a southern rap record that embraces the best of his heritage while still feeling modern, accessible, and frequently fun as hell. So for me, solid 8 out of 10. One of the easiest recommendations I can make for a hip-hop album. You will probably dig the hell out of this. Folks, it's just damn great southern hip-hop with real class, soul, and well-framed introspection if you're looking in the details, and with no shortage of bangers that show themselves to be plenty diverse in their own right, gives you pretty much everything that you can want out of a Big K.R.I.T project. And if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. Check this out. You won't regret it. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I'd like to like and subscribe. I'd be more than grateful. I know I was planning on dropping this review yesterday, but I just got ahead of myself. I wanted to give this a few more listens to really sink in. I'm glad I did. I enjoyed the hell out of this album. But hey, if you want to buy it, please do. We want to give independent guys like him all the support he deserves. Links in the description below, and I got the poll up there. I know I'm not as crazy familiar with all of Big K.R.I.T's mixtapes, so I'm curious where you guys who are more into that scene will fall on this album, because I think it's pretty damn great. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or if you guys want to get involved in my schedule and help support the channel, link to my Patreon is right over there, where 3 times a week you guys get to vote on my schedule, and once a week for the higher tier contributors, you get to add albums, movies, or even a top 10 list to that schedule. More details right over there, but till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.